You can see we will be recording this meeting, so if colleagues who signed up, registered for the meeting but could not make it, they will be able to see it, see the recording at their convenience. As I said, housekeeping, we are keeping the video and microphone off except for the speakers in order to manage this session. However, please use the chat function to put your questions and comments. My name is Masumi Ono from United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. I'm joined by Chris Kipp from UN Global Compact and Stephanie Winnett from the International Organization of Employers. We will be giving you some updates, some information on the overall summit, as well as some updates on the preparations for the private sector forum. Could we have the slide, please, Alia? So the summit will be taking place on 4th through 6th November at Qatar National Convention Center in Doha. Next slide, please. I want to start by reflecting on why it's important to have this social summit, particularly against the political, economic, and social backdrop. We will gather in Doha to take progress and gaps in the implementation of the Copenhagen Declaration, which was adopted 30 years ago, and give momentum towards the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. We will need to align policy actions with opportunities and challenges shaped by technological advances, demographic changes, and climate-related disruptions. Also to mobilize concrete actions for addressing unresolved social challenges and strengthening resilience towards just and sustained social progress. And to do that, we need to strengthen political will and support for social policy and social spending and invest in people and societies. And last but not least, to reinforce international cooperation, coordination, and solidarity among governments and stakeholders at all levels. Next slide, please. The summit will be a culmination of all the work and consultations that happened so far. And there were global consultations that took place in New York, Geneva, and online. Consultations and deliberations held by the regional commissions, consultations convened at national levels, and thematic consultations held by UN entities around the world. Alongside this, we have launched a global communication campaign called Accelerating Social Progress. As part of this effort, we invited people around the world to share what social progress means to them. We continue to strengthen our outreach with the summit official website, which is being regularly updated with the latest political declaration materials, summaries of regional webinars organized by resident coordinators, new insights articles on the blog, and more. These updates ensure that our partners, stakeholders, and the wider public remain engaged and well-informed as we build momentum towards the summit. The key outcome of the summit is the Doha Political Declaration. The declaration will be formally adopted in Doha. It reaffirms member states' commitment to the Copenhagen Declaration, the 2030 Agenda, and related UN frameworks with a focus on poverty eradication, decent work, and social inclusion. The declaration establishes a follow-up mechanism to review progress every 5 years, starting in 2031. It calls for strengthening the Commission for Social Development and multi-stakeholder engagement and partnerships, including with parliamentarians, civil society, employers and workers' organizations, youth organizations, organizations of persons with disabilities, academia, local and regional authorities, faith-based organizations, and the private sector to implement the commitments. Next slide, please. The political declaration makes it clear that the private sector is a vital partner in advancing social development. Some of the key commitments it highlights include recognition of the role of businesses in generating decent employment opportunities, promoting job creation, decent work, and living wages, investing in skills development, and supporting the transition from informal to formal economies. It also stresses responsible business conduct in line with national legislation and relevant international standards and frameworks. Strengthening labor market institutions and social dialogue is highlighted, together with promoting respect for international labor standards and workers' rights. The declaration emphasizes supporting entrepreneurship and creating enabling environments for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, cooperatives, and the social and solidarity economy. It calls for mobilizing additional finance, both public and private, while ensuring that private finance is not a substitute for existing commitments. Multi-stakeholder partnerships are encouraged as a way to advance these goals. It further commits to promoting equitable access of developing countries to markets, investments, and technologies, and to leveraging digital and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, to support inclusive social development. This includes expanding access to education, healthcare, and decent work opportunities while safeguarding workers' rights and advancing context and country-specific solutions. Finally, the declaration calls upon the multilateral development banks to pay greater attention to financing for social development. It welcomes commitments to mobilize financing from all sources and reaffirms the need to continue reforming the international financial architecture to make global governance more inclusive, representative, equitable, and effective. Next slide, please. There will be a number of ways to engage at the summit. In addition to the official sessions and parallel events, we have solution sessions, Solutions Square, and a new addition soon to be announced, Solutions Studio. So you will have ample opportunities to network, develop partnerships, and mobilize action. Next slide, please. The official program of the summit will comprise of morning and afternoon plenary meetings running from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., respectively. The plenary meetings of the summit will be held as formal plenary meetings of the 80th regular session of the General Assembly. The summit will feature 2 roundtables addressing the following themes. 1, strengthening the 3 pillars of social development: poverty eradication, full and productive employment, and decent work for all, and social inclusion. And secondly, assessing progress and addressing gaps and challenges in the implementation of the commitments of the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and its program of action, and giving momentum towards the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. DESA is awaiting a decision from OPGA on the timing and format of these roundtables. However, we anticipate that the roundtables will be multi-stakeholder in nature. To provide additional space for member states, UN entities, civil society, and other stakeholders to showcase innovative solutions and exchange good practices and explore opportunities for collaboration, solution sessions are being held either as fully in person at the summit venue or as fully virtual events. We received close to 500 requests for solution sessions and over 70 requests for exhibition booths. We are in the final stage of reviewing, and organizers will begin to hear back on approvals, hopefully by tomorrow. The Civil Society Forum will be held on 5th and 6th November at the summit venue. More information will become available on the summit website soon. The Private Sector Forum will be held on 5th November, also at the summit venue. There are 2 events planned on 3rd November by the Global Alliance Against Hunger and on Social Policy Impact Forum. And information on these events will also become available on the summit website. Next slide, please. Some important information on registration. The deadline is 30th September. All participants from accredited organizations must be registered before the deadline to gain access to the venue. Organizations that do not have special accreditation or ECOSOC consultative status will be unable to register. However, so if you do not have accreditation, you may wish to reach out to IOE or Global Compact if you're a member, and if not, other umbrella organizations. All attendees of the summit must also register with the host country and obtain a valid HIA visa. Please check the summit website frequently for updates and further information. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to hand over to Stephanie to give you some more information on the Private Sector Forum itself. Stephanie, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mizumi, for this overview of the summit and for reminding us about the timeline for registration, 30th of September. It's on our minds to make sure we register on time and we have private sector participation, and we'd be happy to have them under the IOE umbrella if needed. I'm Stephanie Vinat from the International Organization of Employers. Very pleased to be here. Maybe a word on IOE and Global Compact and UNDESA are co-hosting this private sector forum. The members of the IOE are the National Employers Federations in 140 countries, and we also work with quite a number of corporate partners. We are the secretariat of the employers in the International Labour Organization, which is the tripartite UN agency which addresses labor and employment issues. And as part of our engagement and our work with the ILO, we've been actively contributing to the World Social Summit through political declaration through the ILO tripartite message, key messages that were shared with the governments. So we're very pleased to continue this engagement. As you were saying, Mizumi, the political declaration does recognize the key role of the private sector in generating employment and uplifting societies, and it's really well featured in this political declaration as a key partner. So it's really for us important to acknowledge this presence in the political declaration and make sure that we have a private sector forum which dedicates time and space for a dialogue with private sector and government, as well as other stakeholders who would like to join us that day. So I'm here today with Chris Kipp from the Global Compact to give you some insights on the Private Sector Forum organization. As you see on the screen, it will take place on the 5th of November. We will have a full day program at the Qatar National Convention Center in Doha, which is the venue of the summit, so it's in the exact same place. Next slide, please. So just a word about why a private sector forum. as UN member states will come together in Doha to address social development issues and advance social progress. We need, again, the private sector to be there because it has been recognized in this political declaration. The declaration has been negotiated in New York. It will be adopted in Doha. And for us, it's really important that the private sector be able to have that space to share what social progress means to us. The objective is really to highlight business, employers, large companies, SMEs, employers federations, from the various regions of the world as powerful actors for social development, creating jobs and advancing sustainable economies. We're also going to spotlight good practices from responsible businesses around the world. The forum will also serve as a platform for governments to engage with private sectors, representative and employers federations. And again, all summit delegates will be welcome to join this multi-stakeholder conversations. And finally, what we also want to achieve is really to highlight solutions, innovation, and the power of technology to ensure shared prosperity and sustainable development. I'd like to hand over to Chris. Chris, you can walk us through what we will explore during the forum, the themes that we want to address during that full day. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and the team at the IOE, and thank you, Masumi, and your colleagues at DESA. And of course, thank you to all of you for joining us for this briefing. My name is Chris Kipp. I lead the social sustainability team here at the UN Global Compact office in New York. And as many of you will know, the UN Global Compact is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. We unite businesses and stakeholders to align their strategies and their operations with universal principles on human rights, on labor rights, on the environment, and anti-corruption, and to ultimately also advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And building on what Masumi and Stephanie said, also from our side, we really want to re-emphasize that we very much look forward to working with many of you, many private sector stakeholders, to make the World Social Summit a success and to really build on the momentum also of the political declaration, as we heard, the text of which has just been agreed and finalized and does have a significant recognition of the role and the responsibility of the private sector. So we see the Private Sector Forum, the one-day event, really during the World Social Summit, really as a unique platform for business leaders, for business stakeholders to come together, to engage with government, civil society, and the wider UN family to really advance social development. If we go to the next slide, what will the forum explore? As Stephanie said, again, we want to highlight why business engagement is essential for advancing social development, both in terms of the responsibility of the private sector, but also, of course, the tremendous opportunity for businesses to invest in sustainable practices through employment generation, through decent work, promoting living wages, advancing gender equality, and overall really implementing and advancing responsible business conduct that respects and advances human rights across business operations, supply chains, investing in inclusive growth, and of course also promoting enablers such as sustainable financing towards the SDGs. You see some of the themes also really highlighted on the slide here around enabling environments in the context of the future of work, inclusive business solutions, and, as I mentioned, responsible innovation and finance. The day itself will be structured in roughly 2 building blocks. So we're really looking in the first part to focus on enabling environments for responsible and sustainable business. Of course, looking at legal and regulatory environments that are conducive, policy frameworks, again, also the overall financing infrastructure, very much a multi-stakeholder approach here to look at all and engage with all the relevant stakeholders that can contribute to enabling environments. So, of course, governments, policymakers, civil society, trade unions, and absolutely, of course, businesses and employers, organizations, and federations themselves to really come together and discuss and hear what is needed and what can enabling environments look like. And the second part then very much in the afternoon, very much focused on real world promising business practices and private sector solutions and some of the really strong practices that we also see that can really advance social development, but also discuss together what are still some of the key challenges for businesses and what is needed to scale promising private sector solutions. So very much also demonstrating and showcasing how businesses can lead for social development. And then briefly, maybe if we go to the next slide, let me conclude with that. What do we see as the value of participation in the private sector forum? Again, very much an opportunity for networking, for engagement, for building partnerships, for demonstrating how companies can contribute to aligning with our common and our shared vision towards advancing a more just and inclusive global future. So in particular, really being able to shape the conversation, being there to engage, to bring business perspectives into the global dialogue on social development, again, to connect and to collaborate, build partnerships, as I mentioned, with governments, UN officials, employers, and peers, but also really be there to contribute with ideas and solutions. So again, underscoring the private sector's role to advance inclusive and sustainable futures. And then, of course, last but not least, to also learn and to hear from others, gain insights how from innovative business practices worldwide. So let me conclude here, and Masumi, back over to you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Stephanie, so much. So I'd like to now thank you. Just on the final slide, these are some of the links to the registration portal. As I said, please check the summit website. We have tons of information there. Now, I don't see any questions or comments just yet in the chat box, but if you'd like to use that, or if you'd like to be unmuted to speak, please raise your hand. Use the raise hand function, and then we can unmute your mic. Okay, I see one hand raised. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Masumi, and hi, colleagues. Good to see everyone online. I'm getting an error when turning on my video. I'm not sure why, but I was just wondering if you could confirm. I didn't quite catch this. I understand the registration deadline is September 30th, but is there a limitation in terms of how many delegates we can bring for each ECOSOC accredited organization? If you could clarify, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So there is a limit of 15 individuals under each organization. However, if you are sort of, one of the large umbrella organizations, network, etc., then we can give you an exception. So please reach out to the Summit Secretariat, and we'll be able to do that. The earlier you can flag us, the better, because the system is set up to automatically cap to 15. But the summit, we'll put in the chat the summit general inbox. It's Social Summit Secretariat, one word, @un.org. We have Caitlin, please.
Hi, yes, thank you so much. This has been very, very helpful. The link in the chat, I'm just getting kind of like a blank page essentially that just says request information and nothing else. Or request invitation, but it doesn't have anything else. I'm not sure if that's the right link or it's
Chris?
not saying anything beyond that. So I'm just, but anyways, just flagging that.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you need to click on the request an invitation button, and then it should take you to another page. But I am also getting a slow response here on the website. So we'll look into that. But the website should work. If it doesn't work temporarily, I'm sure it'll be working soon again. So please keep the link. The link is correct, and it should normally work, but we'll check internally. Thanks for flagging.
Okay, yeah, I can't click anything, so that's perfect. But thank you. I was worried it was just my computer, but that's helpful to know.
Okay, Noreen, please.
Okay, thank you so much for this terrific briefing. I just have a question about the development of the agenda for the Private Sector Forum, and if possible, it would be great to understand what the process will be to develop the agenda and how we can be part of that process, if at all possible. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we will, after this briefing, share a concept note that it will be the basis for further developing the program. If you are interested to be closely involved, please reach out to us and we'll take it from there. Again, we'll put the summit email address in the chat box.
And if I may add, Masumi, thank you, Noreen. This is very much appreciated. We do want to make this as inclusive as possible. So if you have ideas, if you would like to support the details of the day and sort of have suggestions, please do reach out. We very much encourage that to hear early on how we can build the agenda in a way that is, of course, inclusive of many different views and perspectives.
Okay, great. Farouk, please.
Hello. Good evening from Bangladesh. Good morning, good afternoon, friends and colleagues. I am Farouk Ahmed from the Bangladesh Employers Federation. My very simple and straight question, how is the dynamics of the participation? Is it on tripartite basis, like in any other, usually in ILO meetings that we participate, or it's on individual basis? And how to initiate this particular process? Will there be any invitation through the government, or it's any other process? It's not clear to maybe, at least to me, maybe there are many of us like me. So I would appreciate to get it clarified. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that question. And actually, that reminds me, if you wouldn't mind, when you take the floor, to please identify your organization affiliation. That would also give us a sense of who is in this room and who's expressed interest. Yes, so the summit, as I mentioned briefly, is a plenary meeting of the General Assembly. So all protocols, rules of procedure of the General Assembly apply. And also based in accordance with the modalities resolution of the General Assembly, it is there is a multi-stake, it encourages stakeholders such as private sector to be engaged. So it's actually wider than tripartite, if you will. Will there be an invitation? No, you would need to register on our summit portal, and that there will not be an invitation letter. However, when you register and when you're approved, then you get a letter of approval, which in a unique number, which is communicated, which you will input when you apply and register with the host country, and that enables smooth approval process for the e-visa.
Mizumi, can I just compliment on that?
Sure,
Thank you.
yes.
Farouk, this is indeed a UN summit, so it has UN rules set by the General Assembly. However, during the ILO governing body discussions on the topic, it has been, the government have been invited to designate a tripartite delegation. So they are invited to include social partners within their delegations. So not all the governments will do that. It's an invitation for them to do. I would really encourage all the employers federations on this call to reach out to their governments to see if they could indeed be included in their national delegations, which would indeed facilitate also the whole registration process. If the government doesn't include the tripartite delegation, we'll be happy to have you under the IOE delegation. And it's not, in terms of participation, it's not tripartite per se. It's really a state-led summit. And we are bringing the voice of private sector in some of the sessions where possible, in side events, but also in this private sector forum.
Great, thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Next to Shin, please. Are you able to unmute? Go ahead. I see you keep trying to unmute, but somehow it's giving you. Maybe we'll come back to you, Shin. David, please go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. One question for those who will not, unfortunately, be able to be there in person. Is there a chance of participating or supporting online?
Yes, thank you. So the official program will be on webcast, but the summit itself is an all in-person event. You can observe on webcast for the official part of the program, and for some of the parallel programs, such as the Civil Society Forum, we are also looking into having a webcast for private sector forum, but this is subject to funding, and we're exploring that right now. Some of the side events, the solution sessions may be webcast, but there will not be sort of this hybrid arrangement where you can participate also virtually. However, there are numerous virtual side events, virtual solution sessions, I think about 100 or so virtual events. Let's see if we can, if Shin, if you're able to unmute. Simon, if there's a way you could assist. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Great. This is Shen from IFC, part of the World Bank Group. First of all, thank you very much for hosting this session. I have a question specifically for the private sector forum. Logistically, is the same badge that, like, only one badge requested for the whole summit, which also can allow the participants to get into the private sector forum? Is that correct? I see you are nodding. Right,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, because there's some other UN conference we need to get different badges to get into specific venues. So thank you for confirming that. Then my next question is about the program. I think some other participants also mentioned that we would like to know how fixed the program is right now and what's the format gonna looks like. I saw you have a schedule on your website with 2 sessions in the morning and 2 sessions in the afternoon. How the format looks like, is a round table, and whether you already get a speakers fixed, and how can we, like, for example, IFC be part of it, and would like to know more information about that. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, so we're still developing the program, and as Chris mentioned earlier, we very much welcome engagement by a broad range of stakeholders and like IFC yourselves. Stephanie or Chris, would you like to comment on the program?
Sure. The program is as Chris was saying, we have currently 2 building blocks. We're looking at fireside chats, and inclusive of course business leaders, but also we're open to have other stakeholders around those chat. We're going to have really, and I'm really calling them chats because we want them to be as dynamic as possible. So it wouldn't be panel conversation panels where we would read statements, but really an exchange or a conversation to highlight solutions from the business side. We will open up for questions and exchange with the audience. So if some of you cannot be part of a fireside chat, there's always an option to have the opportunity to speak during the Q&A session that comes at the end of the morning and at the end of the afternoon. Chris, anything to add?
Sure. Yes. No, excellent point. Thanks also for flagging that interest from the IFC. Again, very happy to engage after this call together with Stephanie and Masumi, how we can really make the agenda as inclusive as possible. We're still looking at many specific agenda items, specific speakers, so we're not there quite yet. Of course, we have many ideas and many requests, but we do want to hear from you if you also would like to propose some speakers or organizations you think should be speaking. Of course, there's always going to be some limitations in terms of what we can do, but the good news is we do have a full day, which is fantastic. So we do have time. We will want to make it as interactive as possible. We're still looking at sort of room capacity a bit, and we also, as you see, I have a separate process here where you have to request an invitation simply because we also need to manage a bit the participant, the amount of participants we can have in the room. So if we do have a lot more interest than the room capacity allows, there will have to be perhaps a waiting list. But I'll leave also that to Masumi to explain. Thank you.
Right, good. Shin, is it a follow-up question to your question? And then if so, please go ahead. But I have also Emma and others. Yeah, go ahead, Shin.
Yeah, thank you, Masumi. Very quickly, just a follow-up on the room capacity. It would be great to get a sense of how big, like what's the amount of participants for this private sector forum. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yes. So for now, we are looking at a room that has a capacity of 150 or so. Yeah, so yeah, that's also the reason why we are. It's not like I said, the badge for the summit is just one badge for all events, but it's for the invitation request is for the purpose of kind of managing the capacity. Before going to Emma, I do see a couple of questions in the Q&A, and one of them is related to this, to be considered for an invitation to attend the World Social Summit Private Sector Forum. When you click on the receive an invitation, it says you must be accredited and registered to attend the World Social Summit in Doha, Qatar. For more information, please contact, actually not NGLS, but any social summit related questions, please send it to Social Summit Secretariat at UN.org. So it's important that you are registered for the summit, because that is what gives you access to the venue. Now, the invitation to the private sector, as Chris mentioned, is just to know, who is coming, who is interested in coming, who's coming, and is the capacity, do we need to take action in terms of managing with the capacity of the room that we have. So I hope I answered the question. I think my colleagues will also provide additional information in the chat. But thank you, Emma, for being patient. Please go ahead. And after that, I'll get to the other question on the Q&A chat. Emma, please go ahead.
Thank you, and my apologies. I had some difficulties joining the call earlier. Would it be at all possible to get a link to the presentation slides in the chat now, just to get the information as soon as possible?
Right. Okay. We'll try to do that. If we are operating this with just a couple of my colleagues behind the scenes, as well as a couple of Global Compact colleagues trying to manage the chat. So Emma will, if we can, if you can allow us to maybe try to get to that, but yes, we'll try our best. But for sure, after the briefing, we will share the recording as well as a slide presentation in a PDF form. Chris, did you want to come in? Or? Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So there is another question in the Q&A which says, will regulators, policymakers from Qatar be attending the private sector forum? Yes. There will be many member states from all countries. So we will have government officials as well as other stakeholders, civil society, private sector, academia, research institutes, UN entities. So yes. And is it a part of the agenda to address specific topics within the Qatari labor law? We will, as a private sector forum, we will not be going into so much, well, you know, there is a, I mean, the intention, of course, part of it is to share good practices, but these sort of like context specific issues are it may be dealt with in specific sessions of the solution sessions or in the solution square where they have exhibits, if the organizers from those countries have applied and been approved. I hope that answers your question. Another question I see in the Q&A, would disability inclusion in private sector be represented in the agenda? I very much hope so. Thank you very much for that question. In fact, in my regular duties, disability is very much a part of my team. We are the Secretariat of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and therefore the Social Summit as a whole, we are very much mainstreaming disability inclusion in our agenda, in our program, in our discourse. Have I addressed all the questions? Megan, Samantha, have you seen anything that I've missed?
No, Masumi, I think for all of the questions in the Q&A in the chat so far, they have been answered. But if anyone else wants to come in with more questions, feel free to raise your hand or write in the Q&A in chat.
Okay, if there is no other questions, comments for now, thank you so much for your time, for your interest, and you know how to get in touch with us, Social Summit Secretariat at un.org for any summit-related questions. And then yes, and then we look forward to your continuing engagement and to see many of you in Doha at the summit. Any last words from Stephanie, Chris?
No, thank you so much for joining us. Again, as Masumi said, feel free to reach out with any more follow-up questions you or the constituents you represent might have. Thank you from our side.
Thank you from our side as well. Maybe just a word, if you know that you will be in Doha and attending the summit, please let us know. Let Chris, Mizumi, and myself know so that we're informed, and we can also make sure that you're up to date with the latest on the private sector forum. So thank you all for joining the session today.
Thank you.